Booster 18 exploded right where it hurt most, the liquid oxygen tank. That's where dozens of fuel lines converge, where one failure can trigger a chain reaction. The culprit? SpaceX's old design used shared manifolds, multiple engines feeding from the same pipe. When that pipe failed, every connected engine died instantly. V3 changed the game completely. Each of the 33 Raptors now gets its own dedicated line. One engine fails, the other 32 keep running. Traditional aerospace engineers thought this was insane. Too complex, too many connection points, too risky. SpaceX proved them wrong. The explosion wasn't random. Inside that oxygen tank, you've got dozens of pipes packed together where temperatures swing from minus 297 degrees Fahrenheit to engine heat in seconds. One structural crack and everything unravels. SpaceX asked a simple question. If the human body evolved redundant blood vessels to prevent strokes, why should rockets have single points of failure? That question led to a complete redesign. SpaceX moved the V3 liquid oxygen landing tank right next to the quick disconnect, basically as close to the refueling point as physically possible. Shorter distance means faster fuel flow, less pressure loss, fewer things that can go wrong during those final landing seconds. Then they added support struts. Sounds primitive, right? But these struts solve a problem that's plagued rockets since the 1960s: vibrations. When you've got a 20-story tower filled with cryogenic fuel hitting atmospheric turbulence at supersonic speeds, everything inside wants to shake loose. Without those struts, the tank shifts a few millimeters. That's enough to crack a weld or trigger another B-18-style explosion. During landing burns, when 13 engines fire simultaneously and the booster flips from horizontal to vertical, those struts prevent the landing tank from becoming a 1,500-pound wrecking ball. The landing tanks still connect to those white composite pressure vessels you see throughout the booster. Eventually, SpaceX wants full autogenous pressurization, using hot engine gases instead of stored helium. More efficient, lighter, simpler. But they're not rushing it. One failed pressurization during landing means $100 million crashes into the Gulf of Mexico. Those pressure vessels got upgraded too. You can spot the new ones coming out of Star Factory. They've got that orange-red outer shell. These vessels don't just pressurize tanks. They spin-start the Raptor turbopumps, store nitrogen for thruster control, and support structural integrity during flight. Most people don't realize these vessels operate at thousands of psi while being hit with cryogenic temperatures, vibrations, and rapid pressure changes simultaneously. The upgraded shells aren't cosmetic, they're insurance against cascade failures. Which brings us to the breakthrough. SpaceX abandoned manifolds entirely. Now each of the 13 landing engines has its own pipe from the LOX landing tank. The math is simple. Old design, one manifold fails, you lose multiple engines instantly. With 33 engines total, losing 3 or 4 during landing could mean missing the Mechazilla arms or not having enough thrust to slow down. New design. One pipe ruptures, that engine shuts down, but 12 others keep firing. The flight computer recalculates thrust vectors instantly and compensates. The booster still lands successfully. This is the same philosophy behind using 33 smaller engines instead of a few massive ones, now applied to the fuel system itself. The trade-off? More pipes mean more connection points, more valves, more potential leak paths. SpaceX's solution: advanced filters at each pipe to catch ice particles and metal debris, plus individual shut-off valves that give mission control surgical precision to shut down specific engines mid-flight. The methane landing tank mirrors this design. All 33 engines get individual feed lines. Because the methane tank sits centrally rather than offset like the LOX tank, the piping layout becomes symmetrical. That symmetry matters. Balanced fuel distribution means balanced weight, which means predictable vehicle dynamics during the landing flip. When you're flipping a 20-story building from horizontal to vertical while falling through the atmosphere, predictability isn't optional. The upgraded fuel transfer tube is massive, 37 meters long, 3 meters in diameter, almost as large as an entire Falcon 9 first stage. It's not just a pipe, it's the booster's spine, connecting the main methane tank to the landing tank. SpaceX highlighted one key improvement: faster flip maneuvers and simultaneous engine starts. During landing, instead of starting engines sequentially and hoping each lights before you run out of altitude, you can ignite multiple engines at once. More thrust authority exactly when you need it. Internal bracing bars reinforce the structure against extreme flight forces. Evidence from B-18 shows this works. Despite severe external damage, the transfer tube stayed intact. That structural integrity bought precious seconds between a controlled anomaly and catastrophic failure. Those internal braces do create problems, though. They increase surface area where frost accumulates, where debris collects, where ice particles can break loose during engine start. That's why the downstream filtration systems become critical. One upgrade necessitates another.
Fuel lines are only half the equation. Each landing engine connects to electrical and data systems, routing back to the central computer, monitoring hundreds of parameters per second: fuel pressure, temperature, vibration, thrust output, gimbal position. During landing, the inner and middle engine rings constantly adjust thrust vectoring to position the booster onto the Mechazilla arms within centimeters while traveling hundreds of miles per hour. Above the engine bay, 26 thrust vector control casings coordinate in real time through small data tubes. This coordination enables increasingly aggressive landing profiles, higher angles of attack, active flip maneuvers, landing with fewer engines. All require split-second adjustments across the entire engine cluster. These upgrades aren't about engineering elegance. SpaceX is building toward one specific goal: the first fully reusable orbital launch system in history. That requires both stages to land reliably, repeatedly, with minimal refurbishment between flights. The booster has demonstrated successful catches 3 times, but flights 9, 10, and 11 showed thin margins. Each upgrade to fuel lines, electrical systems, and control infrastructure expands those margins. The ship faces greater challenges: surviving orbital velocities, completing a full orbit, enduring re-entry heating, then executing the same precision landing. Early V2 flights revealed pipeline vulnerabilities during ascent. SpaceX is applying these same fuel system improvements to the ship, knowing the upgraded piping must function flawlessly through every phase. Current expectations point toward Flight 15 in the first half of this year as the milestone when both stages land successfully. SpaceX replaced single points of failure with 33 independent lifelines. One pipe fails, 32 keep firing. That's the difference between losing a $100 million booster and landing it safely for the next flight. That's how you build the first truly reusable rocket. If this breakdown showed you why V3 matters, hit that like button and subscribe to New Space Review. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What upgrade impressed you most? We've got more Starship breakthroughs waiting in the next video. The future of spaceflight is being built one upgraded pipe at a time. Elon Musk abandoned California and moved SpaceX to Texas in 2024. That single decision triggered a $13 billion economic boom in South Texas. Boca Chica went from retirement village to Mars launchpad almost overnight. What did Texas give Musk that California never could? Was it just tax breaks and looser regulations, or something that could reshape America's entire space future? Let's find out on today's episode of New Space Review. For years, SpaceX called California home, the state where Musk built his empire, where Falcon 9 first took shape, where the impossible became routine. But by 2024, that relationship had completely broken down. California's regulatory machine had become SpaceX's biggest enemy. Environmental reviews stretched into months. Launch permits sat in bureaucratic limbo. Every breakthrough meant navigating layers of agencies that seemed more interested in slowing progress than enabling it. The FAA, EPA, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, they all turned Starship testing into a waiting game Musk refused to play. So he left, took Tesla with him, Boring Company, X, the whole operation. The message was clear: innovation doesn't wait for permission. Now here's where things get interesting. Between 2024 and 2026, just 2 years, SpaceX dumped $13 billion into South Texas's economy. Not the whole state, South Texas, the Rio Grande Valley region that most Americans couldn't find on a map, suddenly became